Chapter 4. Honesty versus Dishonesty.
When you hear this sound, it's time to pay extra attention.
In a world where people ignore you to get your attention, we must consider being realistic and honest with the situation at hand. That sounds like doing things ass backwards to me. This is where the podcast starts getting real, and by the time you finish this segment, you'll know the truth as to whether you are an honest person or not. Stay with us until the end of the video to get inside information about upcoming events, including cash and cool merchandise prizes. How many ways can one be dishonest? Most people think about three kinds of dishonesty, which are lying, cheating, and stealing. Not only are they immoral, but you can be held civilly and criminally accountable in some cases. What if I tell you that being unfair is also dishonest? How can you be critical or give an opinion if you don't have a fair sense of judgment? Therefore, you cannot mediate, umpire, referee, or judge because you are biased or play favorites. To be fair, you cannot be impartial or swayed except for evaluating and ultimately determining the accuracy of the information. I only agree with what's right, and facts versus fiction. What about hidden agendas? Not sharing your true intentions, like the person who hasn't seen you in a while. They make you feel good for a few seconds, then they ask you for money. You may have been compelled to hand it over if the reunion was entertaining. The moment you say no, the show is over, and it shows that you were never relevant to begin with. What if you only mention the part of the story that makes you look good, and you hide the part that implicates you? I believe that's called omission, and that's not keeping it real. Where is the accountability? What about being a hypocrite? By constantly preaching and not living the life or not leading by example? How about being self-centered, where it's all about you? Is this honest or dishonest? Well, that depends on where your focus needs to be at that particular moment. How about when you assume something, where you make judgments without any information or relevant data? After all, assuming is offering ideas about things you don't know the half about. That's not honest. Are you placing your trust in the wrong people, or do you distrust because of the person you know you really are? Uh-huh. When you express yourself, do you speak with clarity? Are you straight up, or do you dance around the truth? Is the information that is coming out of your mouth accurate, or do you tend to embellish by exaggerating a bit? Does it come from a reliable source, or are you spreading ignorance because it sounds good to you? When you speak, are you on topic? Are you feeding useless information instead of researching and learning something new? Do you change the conversation to talk about what you think you know? Are you an anti everything person with what makes sense just because you want to be right? How sometimes the most logical things become incomprehensible? Do you allow other points of view to create diversity, or are you closed minded so whatever you say must be obeyed? Are you focused and protecting the things that are significant in your life? Are you completing your task, goals, plans? Are you a frequent no show? Do you make plans and not follow through? Are your words being backed up by your actions? Do you insist during a competitive situation that all players are clear of distractions? That's going back to fairness again. Does this really matter if you're not going to be honest with yourself first? Your entire existence is a lie if you cannot keep it real with yourself about who you are, what you like, what you want, how you feel, but most importantly, why you feel the way you do. If you are going to point fingers, then you must admit to the negative contribution and the role you played in that situation. When you say that you are a reasonable person, is that 100% truthful? Well, let me ask you, do you always admit the purpose behind your actions? Are your questions and answers relevant? Do you use inferences, which is using evidence to draw logical conclusions, or do you assume with no basis whatsoever? Do you care about the implications or consequences of your actions? Do you go against proven concepts? In other words, do you despise things that work? It seems that the scale between honest and dishonest is overwhelmingly on the dishonesty side. Some people are not happy because their honesty and integrity are always challenged. They see things better than they are in the past, and with the same clouded judgment, they make the present or current situation worse than what it really is. And what do you think that does to the future? Future? What future? The only way to be an officially honest person is when you begin being honest with yourself. And if you don't, well, that's definitely a hardcore problem. When you begin the process of growth, you must retain secrets of yourself. Do not volunteer information that does not have a relevance just to be honest. People will continue to explain why you cannot change because it's in your nature to continue this vicious cycle. This is where risky situations come towards you, and here is where your courage and your fears start colliding. These are the life-changing moments that takes courage for the better or fears for the worse, but it cannot remain the same. Sustainability should be a constant positive flow, like the energy and motivation we spoke about in chapters 2 and 3. The question is, are you a warrior or a worrier? Courage does not allow you to run from problems. One of our greatest fears is of the unknown. But once we learn the truth, we might not be scared anymore because we allowed ourselves to understand what is real and what is phony. You must also be realistic and walk away from unsolvable situations. You must be honest with yourself and realize that if you cannot add value or growth to any given situation, you must walk away and preserve your energy. We must stop expecting honesty from people who lie to themselves. Don't beat around the bush. If sex is what you want, make it clear. If you want a relationship, make it clear. If you want someone to talk to you while your significant other is acting up, make it clear. Don't use people. Make it clear from the beginning, and you will have less problems in the end. People who do not match their actions with their words are not adults. They are little kids who like to talk. They are portraying a person they are not. That makes them a liar. People often lose their authenticity because they are afraid of being judged. They feel forced to agree and offer a fake consensus just to feel like they fit in. This is living among sheep, among the masses. This is not thinking above the norm. Any foundation should be built with honesty. Show your true intentions. This is why we should let people do what they want to do so you can see what they rather do. This will answer a lot of your questions. Nobody has played you more than you've played yourself. You always knew the truth, yet you still give them the benefit of the doubt. Many people are in denial about what is really transpiring in their lives. Some smile at the worst points of their life, and some get easily frustrated over petty quarrels. Who are we to judge who is overreacting and who underestimates their own situation? Is it optimism or is it being disconnected to the truth and the facts? Now we need to talk about subjectivity versus objectivity. And I cannot overemphasize how important this really is. So please focus. When something is subjective, it leaves room for discussion because it is usually a matter of opinion or preference. Does that mean that all opinions are valued? Absolutely not. Just to give you an idea, an assumption is subjective. This leaves too much room for biases and groupthink. On the other hand, when we are talking about something that is objective, it cannot be argued because it is factual or absolute. But there are still some people who try to go against it and won't accept it for what it is, and you cannot do anything about it. Let's talk a little bit about the dynamics of being dishonest. Did you know that some people hate you because somebody lied to them about you? A true family member will never let anyone influence their view of you until they approach you with this disturbing information first. Do you exaggerate a little? And maybe to the point that every time you say a story, it changes a little bit? Are you a monster to your significant other? So why would you be nice to other people's significant other? You dare to set the tone of what the end of the night is going to turn into? Sounds like a touch of hypocrisy. But don't forget about the energy and the vibes. How your life feels is more important than how it looks. In order to be truthful with yourself, you have to stop trying to look happy and find a way to actually be happy. It takes more effort to make believe than to be yourself. Most of us are walking around with some type of pain. You are not alone. If you want to be happy, it starts with keeping it real with yourself and being around happy people. Keeping up with the Joneses is not living your life. You're trying to live theirs, which is another form of dishonesty. How about confidence versus cocky? The behavior of the achiever. I always said that if you're going to be cocky, at least master what you're representing. Arrogance is one of the worst character traits. I find it rather disgusting and unattractive. Now, confidence is the ticket because it carries the right energy. But there are many people who are cocky about things that they should be displaying humility to. The difference between confident and cocky is that one is sharing information or an achievement to motivate you, and the other is showing off and throwing it in your face to make you feel bad. Borderline narcissism. But let's not forget that being cocky is a choice, and to each his own. And as long as they can back it up, it's only their attitude that comes into question, not the achievement, because that is objective. And since we touched on narcissism, here is a little comparison between narcissism and arrogance. An arrogant person might exaggerate their abilities. A narcissist will exaggerate their abilities to make you feel bad. A cocky person will want things done their way. A narcissistic person will be livid when things don't go their way. A cocky person will brag about their accomplishments. A narcissist will brag in order to bring you down. An arrogant person might be super charming. A narcissist will use that charm to hurt you. An arrogant person might challenge others. A narcissist will take a challenge as a threat. Arrogant people may be rude, but narcissists will be mean. So, in conclusion, it's hard to disagree that there are many ways to be dishonest, but there is only one way to be honest. We always do a challenge for our loyal subscribers, and for this podcast, we want you to come forward and share in the comment section if there was something here that resonated or hit home for you. Did you learn something new about yourself today? We will be waiting to give you a response. Come on, let's start a conversation. The vocabulary word for this podcast is embellish, and that is to make a statement or story more interesting or entertaining by adding extra details, especially ones that are not true. Some of our most popular phrases of our podcast and other awesome merch can be found and now available in our store. So don't be afraid to show your love and support the cause. Now, for that inside information you've been waiting for, join us on Instagram at Hormiga Enterprises for the latest clues, prize events, and winners. That's where you'll find out the inside information and scoop on all these prizes that we're giving away. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tickle that bell to help us grow faster and support our causes. Check out our merchandise and wear it proud. Be on the lookout for prizes for your feedback and idea sharing. We can't thank you enough.